Hey everyone, I'm out here in the garage. What we're going to be doing today is taking a look at my 2004 Honda Pilot. So stay tuned. So if you're new to the channel, just want to welcome you here and hopefully you'll consider subscribing if you like what you see. Also, check out Car Apprentice on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. I post lots of pictures and videos on those platforms before I post anything on YouTube. And occasionally I'll post things on those platforms I don't post on YouTube. Also, check out the website at carapprentice.com. And don't forget to hit the like button if you like this video. So we recently purchased a car because our 1997 Honda CR-V was stolen for a second time. So if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know I've talked a little bit about that. And the second time, I'll put the blame on myself. We did not secure the car like we should have. I forgot to put an anti-theft device inside the car so that would prevent the thieves from taking it. And we parked the car in the same spot it was before, and they stole it right from in front of the building. So this time, it took longer than a day to find the car. Last time it only took one day. This time it took about a week. And the car was of course, at a tow yard, and we had to pay some money to get the car out. Now, when we went to look at the car looked pretty good from the outside. And then on the interior, there's a bunch of stuff in there, clothes, food, couch cushions, and of course, hypodermic needles. So we were kind of hesitant to take the car home. We asked if we could dump the stuff that was in the car in a dumpster. They said, no, you have to take it with you. And then when we went to start the car, put the key in, started the car, and it sounded like a diesel truck. And that's because they had taken the cat off the car. So at that point, I said, you know what? After 19 years of owning this car, and being that the CR-V is a really highly stolen car in my area, we decided, you know what? We're just going to go ahead and let it go. Didn't want to drive it home, didn't want to have any issues with any sort of hazards in the car. So we said, we're just done with it. We'll move on. So that is the story of the CR-V. We actually ended up moving on to the 2004 Honda Pilot. Now, I got this car at a cash-only dealer locally here. I was surprised by the price and also really concerned about the condition of the car, obviously, with the price that I saw, because the car was priced pretty low compared to other dealerships that I looked at. I checked the car out, and that's one thing I'm going to talk about in today's introductory video, talk a little bit about some things I have to do on the car because there are some issues with it, and we'll just go along and just chronicle the whole process as we go along, and hopefully it should be pretty fun. Getting this car back to a respectable level that we can actually drive it on a daily basis and feel comfortable that it's a safe car. So, let's get into it. So let's talk briefly about the purchase. We first established several targets before searching in earnest for a car. We already knew we wanted another SUV, so price was our primary consideration. Having said that, the first car I actually looked at hard was a second generation Acura MDX. I'd always been fond of those cars, and I thought this might be a good opportunity to buy one. Then reality set in, and we decided that paying $7,000 to $10,000 for a car was not what we wanted to do right now. Taking into account tax and registration fees, we felt our top-end purchase price was realistically around $4,300. So to summarize, here was our overall criteria. We wanted an SUV, a price of no more than $4,300. It had to be a reliable car. We also wanted four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. No major body damage and a clean title was preferable. Mechanical work was okay since I do all the work on the cars anyway. We wanted an SUV with any body color other than white, and also a car that had less than 200,000 miles on the clock. With our criteria determined, we narrowed the list down to 3 cars: the Infiniti FX35, Nissan Murano, and the Honda Pilot, and we quickly settled on the Honda. So I've worked on both Nissans and Hondas, but since we've driven Hondas most of our lives, we decided that we just go ahead and stick with the Pilot. A couple facts I also discovered about the Pilot that made me lean more towards that car, and I'm continuing to learn more and more about this car as I own it, is that the cargo area is actually large enough to carry a 4x8 sheet of material, and it can tow up to 4,500 pounds with a proper setup. To keep things simple because of our moderate price range, I started shopping on Craigslist, OfferUp, and Facebook Marketplace. It took a bit longer than I expected to find a car, and to get over the shock of the insanely high prices for 20-year-old high mileage cars. We even considered waiting a couple months for the market to die down. Close to abandoning the search, I came across this 2004 Honda Pilot EXL with 190,000 miles that was listed by a dealer at $44.99 on OfferUp. So what I do once I find a potential candidate on one of these commerce sites is I search the other sites I mentioned to see if the car has been listed multiple places, because prices are sometimes not kept in sync. I may also include eBay and AutoTrader in my search. Sure enough, the same Pilot was actually listed on Facebook, but at $3,900, almost $600 cheaper. So I sent the seller a message on Facebook and drove to the dealership to check out the car. So I'm not going to go in depth on the inspection process, and I'll just point to a few resources that are way more comprehensive than I can be in this video. Here are some basic items I take with me when I'm inspecting a car though. A mechanic's tool set, paper towels, an engine compression tester, car ramp so I can get under the car to check for leaks, and an OBD2 scan tool. So let's talk about some of this car's positives. The one thing I noticed right away was that the body gaps around the whole car were consistent. Also, I pulled the Carfax report and it showed no reported accidents, which of course we know that sometimes those Carfax reports are not accurate, and it only had 2 previous owners listed. When I checked the fluids, they were all the correct color. It had Honda blue coolant, the transmission fluid was red and not burnt, and the oil was not dark. When I drove the car, the engine ran well and the transmission also shifted smoothly. And then the last thing is I got no check engine lights before or after my test drive. So we've covered the pros of this car. Let's talk about some of the cons. So this is not a steal of a deal, and actually I may have overpaid for this car, but in the price range we were dealing with, I wasn't too concerned about it. So when I checked all the switches on the interior, I noticed the driver's seat heater was not working. And then as I went around the car, I noticed the tires were severely worn and needed to be replaced. I found a set of used Bridgestone tires in really good shape on eBay for less than half the price of new, and had those installed. There's a slight shimmy in the front when braking, which I found was caused by worn brake pads and also torn rearward lower control arm bushings in the front. It seems like the rearward bushings are a common problem on these Honda Pilots. All 5 Pilots I saw at the salvage yard had the same exact problem. So I've actually replaced the bushing, so stay tuned for a video on that. There's also no AC when I got the car, which has been fixed. So this was the one concern that I had that almost held up the purchase. I just wasn't sure about what was going to be involved with repairing the AC system in this car, whether it was just a simple leak or a more catastrophic failure that I have to deal with. I didn't have a manifold gauge set with me to check the AC pressures when I was checking out the car. Also, the paint was heavily swirled, so the car has been polished, so stay tuned for videos on that. There is some paint chipping around the rear windows, so I'm going to have to figure out how to deal with that. Interior door handles have some chipping. I've got new door handles that I'm going to be installing. The interior needs a thorough cleaning. I actually do think the leather also has faded, which is unfortunate, but the leather itself is in pretty good shape, so I'm going to see if possibly I can re-dye that. I also believe the power steering is leaking because when I turn the wheel when I'm parking the car, it's very hard to turn. Some other maintenance and repair items that this car needs. There are no service records, so I'm going to be changing all the fluids in this car. And I'm also going to change the timing belt and water pump before I start really driving the car. The car really hasn't been driven very much at all. It's really been parked in the garage probably most of the time that we've owned it. And that's because I do not want to drive it with a timing belt and water pump in unknown condition. Some other things we're going to be installing on the car are rear mud guards because those are not included on this car. And I'm also going to install a trailer hitch receiver so we can tow. Alright, so there you have it. Just a brief introduction to the 2004 Honda Pilot we're going to be working on. So I'm going to try to put out videos more often on this channel. I've got about 3/4 of a terabyte of video to go through on this particular car. There are a lot of things that I'm working on outside of the channel right now that are impacting my ability to get videos out, so I apologize for that. But I'm going to do my best going forward to put out more video content if I can. So hopefully you'll stay tuned for more videos on this channel, and thanks for watching.